Hey, I'm Russ.
And I'm Kevin.
And we're here with D6 Mafia. We're doing highlights of Theros.
Yep. Once again, this is just sort of the cards that we like the most out of Theros. Not necessarily the most playable, but just ones that we like mechanically, flavorfully, and hey, some good ones too.
Yeah.
You want to get to it?
We might just like the art. So today we're going to be talking about blue.
Yeah.
You may have already seen our white video, which we may reference, but today we're going to be doing blue.
Yep.
And we're going to start with Aqueous Form.
Yep. Aqueous Form. I really like this enchantment. Just even one blue for just a can't be blocked, and then whenever it attacks, scry one, sign me up. Especially
for common.
Yeah. There's it triggers heroic when you throw it on things.
Yeah.
It's I think it's really solid. It might even have a place in some constructed decks.
I believe it. Yeah. Especially with those double strikers coming out of red and white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Blue-white deck is looking very possible.
It's really disgusting. Yeah.
Yep. That's about all I got for that.
Talk
about
the Vidant.
Vidant of Thassa.
Yeah.
Yep. What do you think of Vidant?
I like all the legendary enchantment artifacts.
Me too.
This blue one, has a lot of potential. It's basically a built-in curiosity. So that's not too bad for all your creatures for 4. I can't complain about that. The ability on it's not the best thing ever, but I could see you forcing your opponent into some situations where
that ability is really weird for me to see in just something that's so mono blue.
Right.
It's usually such a red thing to force things to attack. It just doesn't feel blue like at all to me. And it's such a strange thing to see on such an iconic mono blue card for the set. So that's sort of interesting.
Yeah, the one thing I would say then about it is that it's interesting when you see mechanics outside of a color's normal wheelhouse.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example. And there are some others in this set as well. But to see what is a very red ability kind of come out in blue. There's other things. There's Siren's Call. There's Precedent, but you haven't seen. I don't recall anything like that in a while.
Yeah, it's weird. It's sort of tricky, and I can see how they could justify it being part of the blue color pie.
Sure,
but it's not really. It's sort of new ground here, and I don't know. I like the Vidant. I think it's a pretty solid thing. Definitely not my favorite of the god weapons,
but it's pretty balanced.
But totally, yeah.
All right, next on one of my favorite cards I've seen in the whole set, Curse of the Swine.
I love
it. A great flavor on this card.
Oh, yeah.
What a cool idea.
Anytime I see something that references something that I might see in the Odyssey or something, I smile when I see that in this set.
Yeah, it's a great reference, and I think it's a really great card in blue. It's blue removal. Obviously the punishment is you're giving your opponent some 2/2s, but vanilla 2/2s are way better than whatever crazy bum rush red.
Absolutely.
Boros Reckoner having crap they're throwing at you.
Again, it's removal that deals with Reckoner without you getting punched in the face really hard. It deals with the indestructible gods if they happen to be creatures now. Everybody gets turned to pigs. It doesn't matter how indestructible you are or whatever.
I really like it.
It's good, and also the friggin' pig token that they printed in this set is hilarious.
I haven't seen it.
Kind of adorable. He's still wearing vamp braces and stuff.
That's awesome.
It's cute. Yeah.
Dissolve. Not much to say about it other than hey, if you like playing cancel, why don't you play Dissolve instead?
Yeah, there's sort of a lot of spells that are kind of just improved version of old spells. They do the same thing, but then they scry one as well.
Yeah.
That's sort of a theme.
Why not?
Of the set.
It's a solid counter spell.
I like scry.
Gives
Let's
you scry
scry
one.
some more,
So what else we got on here? Oh, coming up to something. I don't know if you had anything else.
I wanted to talk about Fate Foretold, actually.
Okay, let's hear it.
So Fate Foretold looks like a very unimpressive card at first, but I really like it, especially in Limited, mostly because it triggers heroic, so just like any enchantment, which is nice, and then it replaces itself when you play it.
Right.
And it discourages your opponent from killing it because it'll draw you one more card.
So it may essentially replace the creature as well. So it replaces itself and whatever it's enchanted.
It costs you a card slot, so there's something to be said for that. But I think it's nice because it replaces itself and it replaces the creature. So it's sort of it's a good, solid, heroic trigger that replaces itself and keeps your hand stocked, and
It's 2 cards for 2 mana,
yeah,
which is great.
you know, it
You know.
negates the card disadvantage that usually comes from throwing an aura on something. It's not amazing, but I think it's actually very, very usable, especially in limited. I will pick those up late in a pack for sure.
Yeah, no, I think
probably run
heroic
them.
sort of makes that a little bit better card than maybe it would have been originally.
Yeah.
Let's see. So I would like to talk about Master of Waves.
I think we should.
I do like blue, but you know I don't usually play mono blue. But Master of Waves makes me want to play mono blue. I think flavor has a lot to do with this card. I think there was a little bit more excitement around it than maybe was probably justified. I think people thought it was a little overpowered.
That price is already starting to go.
Yeah, the price on it.
As people are realizing that he's not like...
Yeah, I think he was pushing 30, you know, when he was first spoiled, and now he's like under 10. But I still think there's a lot to be done with this card.
Oh, he's so fun. He's he's just one of those that you just want to build something around him. You just want to do things that make this guy work, you know? And...
I think you're a big Izzet player. I mean, you could throw him in.
I do.
He combos really well with, or pretty well with Perforos.
He does, yeah.
The devotion gets a little bit of a hit.
Yeah, my biggest conflict is, just how do you balance so that you have enough devotion to blue that you're getting enough guys to make it worth your while. I'd honestly almost rather see him in a mono blue or like some sort of elemental themed thing.
It's tough. There's not a lot of like good at blue elemental themed decks. I mean, you're kind of stuck in red with that too.
Yeah, but I mean, blue and red are sort of the 2 elemental colors, so I could see him working. And it's nice to see elementals getting allured because that hasn't happened in a while.
Right, and hey, why not give him protection from red too? Make him
he would normally be super vulnerable. One of the flavor things I like about him is that when he dies, his elementals go away.
Right, because he's no longer conjuring them.
Yeah, he's like there animating them, and then the fact that he's so fragile and his elementals depend on him, it's nice that he has a little bit of evasion from burn at least. So all in all, just a very interesting, cool
just a well-designed card.
Absolutely.
Really well-designed. All right. I want to talk about this.
The Mellitus Charlatan?
That's the one.
Okay. I'm actually not a big fan of him. I mean, copying stuff is cool, but what do you think?
I like him. I like him for 3 mana. I like his ability for 3 mana. The one thing I'm not super excited about is that it's the player who owned the original spell is the one who gets the copy.
I know, right?
So, you know, some of the Izzet stuff that came out in the last cycle has a little better copying abilities, but I still think you can find some really good use for him. I think he's most intended for you to use him to copy your own spells.
Absolutely.
So you need to figure out what that is, whether that is... I mean, we seem to love on heroic, so, you know, an instant or sorcery that targets 1 or 2 of your things, copy it, double up that heroic, whatever you want to use it for.
I mean, it's...
You know, if you want to get in a counter war...
I guess you could do that. Counter. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, like...
I understand the limitation.
He's okay. I appreciate, you know... He's fairly cheap, and he's got a decent body on him for his cost. And just for how limited his spell copy is, and then you still have to pay 2 in a blue for it. Like, we've seen guys in the past that copy spells with less of a drawback than him for less mana. Yeah. And so that's kind of why I'm not his biggest fan. Yeah. Like, usually, you know...
But without the drawback.
Exactly. Like, it's a more versatile copy, and it's a little cheaper, you know? So I've seen it before. I've seen it in ways that I like better. So
yeah, I mean, I can see him maybe a little more in EDH. I think that's where his big strength would be. Where you've got different opponents, where you know you might see somebody drop another spell, and you're like, I want to see this happen again.
Absolutely, the diplomatic implications for him are pretty big. You're like, oh. Well, maybe if you don't throw that at my face, I'll give you another one to copy and throw at both of these guys.
Right.
And EDH is funny like that. And God, you can argue that anything would be good in EDH as long as it's not complete garbage. But
now I think that's where this potential is.
And now if EDH players see this, I'm going to get flamed into oblivion. But
need to play more EDH.
But I have protection from red, so bring it on.
You are the master of waves. The Ordeal. Unless there's something else you wanted to chat about?
No, let's talk about Ordeal of Thassa.
Cool.
One of the stronger ordeals, in my opinion. Yeah. Just, drawing cards is always good.
Yeah, 2 cards for 2. I mean, if your creature lives.
And ordeals are good. I really like the ordeals.
Yeah.
I like them more than I thought I would like them after seeing the spoiler.
Right. Well, there's a little bit of story there. It's all about, it's always about the hero's journey in Greek mythology. So, the hero is given the task, the quest, the ordeal by the god. And if the hero can complete it, then they receive the reward. In this case, it's 2 cards.
Stronger from it, and they receive the boon of the gods. It's wonderful flavor and just solid stuff, Triggers heroic, like I say, of half the things we're talking about. Okay.
Now, I actually had this on my list.
I love Prognostics Sphinx.
Okay, good. Because I like it, and I want to like it more, and I want you to tell me why I should like it more.
Scry 3.
Okay, well,
that is my short answer for you, because I cannot understate how powerful Scry 3 is, especially when it's repeatable. I know it's like, whenever he attacks is not the greatest way to repeat it.
Right.
But he's a 3/5 with flying, so he's got, he's probably not going to suffer too much from the attacking. He can give himself hex-proof, and just repeatable...
He's going to survive.
Yes, he's going to survive, and repeatable Scry 3, it's almost like extending your hand quite a bit, because,
it's control deck
Scry 1 or 2 is a little more nebulous. Once you get to Scry 3... if you're doing it repeatedly, you can have cards that you're just sort of saving on top of your deck and moving things under them and sort of being like, okay, I'll save these until you could be like, I don't want to draw this yet, but I'm going to put this on the bottom and keep this here, but put it under this other thing.
No, you got to, Scry 3 really opens up the control of the
amount
of
of deck manipulation is just so good. And, he's reasonably priced. I love Prognostic Sphinx. I think he's super cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good. I'm convinced.
Yep. Sea God's Revenge.
Okay.
What do you think of Sea God's Revenge?
Let's see. It's expensive. I get it. It's a decent ability. Bounce 3 things and you get to scry. I could see... I don't know. I could see you bouncing and then getting a full swing on an opponent, or slowing down, like putting them back a few turns. I could see where it would be useful. I think it's in a good place at uncommon.
I agree with you there. I think this card is a windmill slam in limited. Holy crap, this card will win you games in limited.
Okay. I can't argue.
Late in the game, when you're dropping this 6-cost thing, the Scry 1 is just gravy, like it is on most of these spells, but bouncing 3 creatures could feasibly set your opponent back 3 turns if you bounce the right creatures, depending on what they have out. And just, swinging for the Alpha Strike right off of that, I think that's going to win games in limited, and I think it's going to be pretty underpicked in limited. I think it's going to be underestimated until people start to figure out that. I think that is a game winner card in a limited format. Yeah,
if you're playing blue, you're probably not swinging for a lot.
It's also it only requires 1 blue, so it's very, very splashable. I like it.
Okay. Yeah. I can get down with that.
All right.
Skipping ahead. I think. Swansong.
I'm
trying to get ahead, but no, Swansong.
It's a pretty spell.
Yeah,
I just think of magicians releasing birds. I don't know.
I like it. It's a counter for 1 blue. What else do you want?
I want it to hit creatures. That's what else I want.
Well, that's.
I know, but I just want broken things, don't I? I don't want that. Actually, that would be horrible.
Yeah, there would be. I think it's really balanced. You stop instant sorceries, enchantments, and. It only costs you 1 blue, so your opponent has to, when you have that 1. Normally, it's you have those 2 blue untapped. Your opponent's like, does he have the counter? Now it's 1 blue.
1 blue.
What are you coming for? It stops the gods. It can stop, those
hitting enchantments.
I think it's the anti-heroic deck in many ways. It's for the anti-heroic deck. You're trying to. Obviously, it's not stopping. Creatures, but it'll stop the pumps that are going to get those heroic creatures, to steamroll over you. It slows them down, and all they get is a 2/2 bird.
Yeah, I mean, the 2/2 bird is
Could be problematic.
Could
but
be problematic. You want to be careful with using this early game, basically. You don't want to give them a 2/2 flyer that can just smack your face with impunity several times. But yeah, later in the game, fairly negligible. You're in blue, so you probably have some flyers to keep that thing at bay.
Yep.
I agree. I mean, I'm always a little concerned when I see a counterspell that can't hit creatures, just because of how creature-centric this game is becoming, how creature-centric the metagame is becoming. In this set, because there's such a heavy enchantment theme, I think it's great that this thing hits enchantments.
Yeah, just to see what the field looks like.
I'm still just not entirely sold on it. Maybe it'll find its way into some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good sideboard card at
Yeah.
the very least. But I think it could see, some main deck constructed.
Yeah,
You know,
I'll just have to
depending
wait
what
and
the field
see.
looks
I'm still sort of jury's out on that for me.
Yeah. So we've reached the god, Thassa, god of the sea.
I love Thassa.
She's probably the best god in my opinion. I mean, a lot of people say Perforos because
I'm on the Perforos side of the fence personally. We'll talk about him when we get to red.
Right.
But I think Thassa is a very, very strong contender.
Yeah, and she was the first one to come out, right?
She was the first one
and
spoiled.
sort of set the bar, and some of the other gods didn't quite meet the bar.
Most of the other gods are a little below the bar, a lot below the bar. But
I think she's great. She's a scry every turn.
yeah.
Sets perfect control. She's in blue, and then, I mean,
The frickin' unblockability for 1 and a blue, repeatable, even just on an enchantment, when she's just floating in enchantment land, is
so much potential. All the creatures that hit and let you draw cards.
and then,
it's
let alone
perfect.
when she becomes a creature. First of all, she's the cheapest of the gods. She
3.
costs 3, whereas all the other ones cost 4,
Right.
which is great. Then if you have the devotion, she's a creature. She can make herself unblockable too. She can make herself, and it doesn't make her tap or anything. It's great. You know, it's
5/5 for
she can
3,
be a 5/5
indestructible.
unblockable, indestructible for 3 if you want to throw 2 mana at her every turn.
Yeah,
That's,
great abilities. Yeah.
I think she's very solid.
She's my favorite of the gods for sure.
I can definitely understand that.
So, all right. Next, I put down the Triton Fortune Hunter.
Okay, I'm not a huge fan of him, but I'm interested to hear why you like him.
I think that this card is going to get underestimated. I mean, I can't
I'm
necessarily.
underestimating it right now.
I can't necessarily say it's going to get constructed play, though the right control deck might play it. I'm interested to see if somebody can make something of this card. I saw it and I just thought, okay, it's 2/2 for 3. That's not great, but you hit it with a spell and you draw a card. So, I mean, I love drawing cards.
Yes.
You know, I play blue, I play green.
Of course.
I like to draw cards. So whenever I see a creature that makes it so easy to draw cards, I don't have to pay any mana. I don't have to tap it.
I'm going to challenge you on that a little bit.
I just pump, draw, and move on.
Yeah. So, yes, he makes it easy for you to draw a card, but that means that you spent a card slot in your deck on something that can target him. You're using the card to target him, and then really you're just replacing the card that you used to trigger his heroic ability.
Yeah. Well, but obviously I'm not going to play target this creature, give him scry. I'm gonna be playing. Well, let's pump him. Let's make him 4/4, and then swing with him, and then I'm also gonna draw a card off of it.
Yeah, difficult to do unless you're in another color.
Oh, no, I wouldn't play mono blue. No, almost no way.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
But I just feel like he's a way to keep your hand rolling.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's gonna. I think that there is potential to surprise.
Well, maybe he'll surprise me, but right now I'm still like,
fair.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Triton Tactics.
All right.
I love Triton Tactics. It is probably my favorite of that sort of cycle of target up to 2 creatures. And I think it's another one that could be fairly underestimated because it's a very, very defensive card, but I think it can be used offensively very well too. It makes your guys tougher and it locks down some of their creatures. A lot of times, it'll save you from trading. It'll lock down a big creature that you were chump blocking. Maybe it'll help your guys survive that big creature. I think it's super versatile. It's great for triggering heroic. It offers great control. It offers great protection for your guys. Even when you're on the attack, I think it's really useful.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I see the survivability. I mean, the strength of the card is definitely on the defensive. I mean, it's definitely the most defensive of all the kind of sort of the double hit instance. Yeah,
Low cost to 1 blue mana.
I could see it seeing some play. Like, I'm not super excited about it, but I think in limited, I could see it doing really well.
I just feel like it does the most out of all of these cards.
For 1 mana, I guess what else do you want?
It's among the I think it's tied for red with the cheapest of these multi-target cards, and I just feel like it does the most. And
should we pause for helicopters?
Yes, I guess we should. Now let's just keep going. Quiet out there. All right, so moving on from Triton Tactics then. Let's see.
Next thing I have on here, the last thing I have on here for me is Voyages End.
I think that's all I have to talk about as well. And again, it's just a freaking solid bounce spell with scry attached.
Yeah, I mean, I wish it was permanent, but what else do you want? I mean, Boomerang is permanent, but it's double blue.
Yeah.
Return a creature, scry 1.
Solid.
Yeah.
It's just good.
I mean, it's common. I mean, there's nothing super exciting, but it's just.
I mean, grab up those in limited, I would say.
I like it because it can deal with some of the indestructible creatures and.
Totally, it's just bounce spells are always nice, and this one has scry on it.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right, well, that about wraps up our highlights of Blue from Theros. I'm Russ.
And I'm Kevin.
And we're with D6 Mafia. Thanks for watching.
Good sign off.